run? Is it time to listen? Is it time to think and act? Those are the things that become more clear once in the heart center. Are there any questions?
Ian has a question. Go ahead, Ian.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. For a while back, I got into studying a lot of spiritual philosophy, and a lot of it had to do with listening to your intuition. And that really took a lot of practice on determining what was actually intuition and what was actually in my mind. So I started practicing and testing and acting on it. And over time, I was able to develop intuition. And I found myself doing things, extraordinary things, for no reasons I did not know, I felt compelled to do, which meant, things like getting in my car, driving across the country to see someone without ever even talking to them. And they didn't even know I was coming. And I had no reason why I was going. I just knew I needed to go. That happened on several occasions. And it ended up being profound experiences that I had doing that. And I found out once I got there, I guess maybe in part, why I went. Is this the equivalent of what you're talking about, of being in your heart center and being able to listen to your gut?
When you were in your heart center, when you listened, at the beginning you said you had to train yourself to listen to it. And those ideas that the training is the reinforcing. Everyone has intuition. We have learned, the humans have learned to suppress their intuition, to not listen to it from a very early age. So when you had to train yourself, reprogram yourself, you're reinforcing a new belief system is what you did. That it is possible for you to listen and, some might say on an impulse, do something. But you found it to be very enriching. And at the beginning, you said something about that you were testing. And by testing it, that is the analytical mind. That is the divine masculine wanting to analyze, is it working? Is it not working? But I think you found out that the proof that your intuition is working is your alignment with joy. How did it feel when you listened to your intuition? How did it feel when you acted on your intuition? That is the test. Because when we test according to what your scientists call the scientific method, that is engaging in the analytical mind. It is simply only engaging in what is repeatable. The repeatability of alignment is how you feel. Do you feel good? Are you joyous? Are you excited? Though that's the litmus test for being in alignment and listening to your intuition. And you found it to be very profound. So that is a great example of listening to your intuition and not expecting a reward. Because when one does not expect a reward, the unlimited nature of the reward can be delivered at that point. When one has specific expectations on what the reward will be, it is so. And have you limited yourself in your expectations? So by you finding it to be so profound and beyond expectations is magnificent and an excellent example of listening to your intuition. So thank you for sharing. Did that answer your question?
Yes, and if I'll go one step further and confirm whether or not this belief that I have is true, is that you act on your intuition, and one never knows how much power they really have. And you're not, in my perspective, you're not meant to really see the true impacts of your power, because your ego would get a hold of that. But you're just guided, you listen to your intuition, you're guided to do something, and you make the decision, your free will. Yes, I'm going to do that, or no, I'm going to ignore that. But when you act on that, it's going to have some impact, and your visibility to the impact is going to be limited. And most times you're not going to see that impact because your ego would get a hold of it. But every once in a while, you're allowed to get a glimpse of just what impact you can have by doing something like I just stated. And I believe that little glimpse that you're occasionally given is to keep you on the hook, is to keep you motivated. Would you agree with that philosophy, or is that just, what would you think about what I just stated?
So I agree that is your belief system. And you wisely stated and you wisely talked about the ego. The ego simply is. It is the mind that gives the ego more power. It is the training of the belief systems from a small child that has given the ego and the self-identity much of its power and influence on what yogis call the monkey mind. And the ego's influence clouds the judgment. The expectation or the derivation of joy from one's acts or decisions is a programming of the belief system that has happened on Earth for many, many, many thousands of years. If one could act while consciously knowing the impact, but not because of observing the impact, but not because of feeling the impact. If when one decides to do something, if they put a lot of weight on what the impact will be, how will you feel after that it's done if it did not achieve the goal of the impact that you expected? Would that be the negative reinforcement to not do it again? But you listened to your intuition. You were in alignment. You felt the joy while planning it. You felt the joy while doing it. Only after the fact, because you chose to measure it. And you chose to measure it against what were expectations, were you then disappointed? But if you focused on what you felt when you were doing it, were you full of joy and excitement when you were doing it? Then it does not matter what the impact is. If there is a common goal that one is striving for, world peace. World peace is not going to happen by a goal of world peace. World peace is going to happen by each individual being in touch with their heart center and understanding that everyone else that they see, that they don't want to harm them. That's when world peace will happen.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Because one last thing that I'll just say is, once I developed the intuition and I started acting on it, and things started to happen, I will just say that the world, it seems like a whole nother aspect of the world opened up to me, and it made it an almost magical place. And it made it very enjoyable, and stirred the excitement of wondering, gee, I want else, what's next? And it made it very exciting, and as you would put it, very joyful. So thank you for that.
Yes, alignment with joy is its own reward. Thank you very much for your question.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions at the moment. So would you like to expand on something else? And maybe there's some other people that will have some questions. Is there anything else you would like to share with us concerning your work?
Well, the energies this year in 2021 are expansive energies. Some people are feeling the ebb and flow, but if one starts to breathe and to listen, you'll see there's this constant ramp up of positivity. The light workers are doing the work. The people who are not so awake are also doing the work. That is the important part. And these energies are easy to assimilate by reducing the resistance, this eclipse coming up in several days. This is an important eclipse. It will highlight energies around the North Pole of your planet. And the North Pole of your planet is sending out electromagnetic energies. The flow of energy from the core of Gaia comes out through the North Pole. This is the divine masculine action for Gaia. And this eclipse will enhance the energies, will stabilize the intentions of the collective consciousness. It will help focus your intentions on your true desires. It helps you focus on your true desires. And the eclipse in December is the exact opposite. It will be focused on the South Pole, which is the input for Gaia, which will enhance your ability to listen, enhance your ability to reduce your resistance to your true authentic self, to your magnificence that's within. And these are all happening effortlessly for you. You simply need to set your intention to engage in those energies. That is it. You can set your intention to breathe. You can set your intention to expand by focusing on clairvoyance or clairaudience. For the most part, will keep resistance to it by focusing on allowing your true gifts to come forth. One can practice, and one can practice mental communication. Find a partner and get a deck of playing cards. And you each pick one playing card at night. Don't tell the other person, and place it on your nightstand. And then let the other person know where you're placing this card. And then in the morning, communicate. Which card did you have? Which card did you have? And predict. Don't be discouraged. And at the beginning, maybe only you pick what suit of card it is. By engaging in those activities without expectation, but by engaging in the excitement, one can increase those skills. By allowing this and engaging in your intuition. These are some of the ways to enhance those abilities, but by not attaching an expectation to it. Keep score, but don't keep score. Are you excited about interchanging information, exchanging information with your friend? That's the important part. Not, I'm at 15%. Being at 15% is going to give you negative reinforcement. Being at 98%, it may give you positive reinforcement, but then you're going to start comparing with other people, which will only keep you away from your heart center. But by you engaging in the joy of it, and the excitement of it, and the communication of it, those abilities will come. Are there any questions? I hear many people pondering.
Yes, there's a lot of questions now. Joan has a question. Oh, actually, David has a question first. Go ahead, David. Sorry for that. Go.
Hello there. Greetings.
Greetings.
I'm interested if you're able to help me understand what I'm experiencing. I've received some information that I've been experiencing, like some of it may be fear, but a lot of it is there's an elevated pulse, but a lot of times I don't feel like that's emanating from that. And I had some info that there's some emotional, like because of the ascension that we have to clear and release, that this energy is forcing us to release things that have happened in our lives or past lives. If it's like emotional trauma from past experiences, this life or past life, is there anything you can share with me to help me understand how to get through this, or what kind of causes would cause like elevated pulse for people? And is it the energies or the supermoon?
So I have two parts to the answer. So elevated heart rate or any dis-ease in the body can be caused by many, many, many factors. But since it's dis-ease, simply returning to ease is starting down the path of least resistance. It could be diet, it could be mental state, not being in alignment. When you feel stress, you are in a state of dis-ease. Therefore, your vibration is telling your cells, be in a state of dis-ease. But if you become in a state of ease, if you practice being in the state of ease, then you are sending out that core vibration to the rest of your cells, that they are in a state of ease, and they shall return to a state of ease. The second part, let me get back to that thought. I'm sorry, I lost that thought.
That's okay.
Why don't you ask the question again, David?
Just to understand what are the causes so that I can be back in balance and function better without worrying about or causing the elevated pulse that causes a lot of worry, to understand if it's like the emotional or mental things that are caused by the energies of the earth, or what, or to find out what's causing it, so I can,
So you can clear it. Yes.
yes, so I can clear it and move forward and function and live my purpose and help others and stuff like that.
So karma, you were talking about past lives or clearing past events and things like that.
Yeah, like emotional trauma that happened. Somebody mentioned that there was a panic attacks in like a past life and some in this life that I've been through, that it could be some of that coming up to be cleared.
So any past event comes up now as an opportunity to clear it. When one simply returns to the state of ease, that karmic imprint is no longer important and is no longer valid. When it comes up, when the idea of it comes up, you have the opportunity to clear it. It is simply, most humans are trained to treat things as an excuse or a permission slip. And things in the past life or things in the past simply are. It is up to you to decide which direction you want to go. By starting from now and creating your future, that is the way to deal with it. By dealing with it, I mean, what is your joy? By being in alignment with your joy. Karmic imprint cannot exist when you're in alignment with your joy. Bad influences from your past lives cannot be of influence. When you are in alignment with your joy, you are in a state of ease, and you are in a state of least resistance, and things start to flow in your life. By looking for the cause in a past life or current life in the past, by doing so, you are attracting more attention to it. I'm not saying to ignore it. If it is so traumatic that you need to deal with it, then you need to deal with it. Most things are energetic or a thought pattern. And when you're programmed to treat it as a trauma and see it as a trauma, then you will see it as a trauma and treat it as a trauma. And then you continue to give energy to that karmic imprint. By clearing any energetic pattern that you have. And the idea of clearing it simply means that idea of that energetic pattern is not in alignment with my joy. So by returning to your joy, to your source within, this unlimited, powerful being that you are, by returning to it, by focusing on clearing it, you are not in your joy unless your joy is clearing it. As an example, I invite everyone to focus on a traumatic event from your past, whether it be the past in this life or past life. Focus on that. Start to feel it. Start to recognize it. Are you becoming more tense? Are you becoming irritated? Now simply see this as it happened to someone else. Detach yourself from it. And if you see it happening to someone else, Is it easier for you to view? Now view it as an angel from heaven. Are you more tolerant? Are you more compassionate? Now send it the pure light. Send it the pure energy of love and understanding with no judgment. That is simply energy. How do you feel now? And then think of something that brings you joy. Think of something that when you are doing it, brings forth your joy. What are some of the ideas that excite you? And now send it that energy of excitement. Energy flows where your intention, where your attention and intention go. By simply focusing on your joy, you are sending energy to your joy. I am not stating that healing is not a good thing. I'm not stating that clearing that energy pattern is not a good thing. As a healer, if you send out the energy to be healed, that energy is going to look for dis-ease. It's going to look for things that need to be healed. But by sending out the energy of perfection, by sending out the energy of excitement and co-creation, all of your client selves will receive that. When you send out the energy of their highest good, when you send out the energy of their core vibration and allow their core vibration to amplify, that is the true essence of healing. Does that make sense?
Yes. That was beautiful. Thank you. Much love.
So focus on your joy and excitement.
Thank you so much. Okay, Joan has a question. Go ahead, Joan.
Hi, I just want to know because I'm trying to stay in my heart center, if I doing it right, because there is some kind of energy that on my heart. It's like an electric excitement or something like that. Can you tell me if I'm on that heart center area? Thank you.
So as an experiment, take your hand and place it over your heart center.
Okay.
And simply slowly breathe. And focus your attention on your hand and your heart and your breath. Do not try to fix anything. Simply feel it. And feel your breath. And when a thought comes in your mind, that's anything but feeling your breath and feeling your hand and feeling your heart. Simply allow it to go away on its own and return your viewpoint to your breath and your hand and your heart. Do you feel the energy in your heart?
Yes. I'll say
Do you feel that energy expanding?
yes.
Your awareness and your ability to focus is one of your most powerful tools. And those ideas have been suppressed. By returning to those ideas and reinforcing those ideas, you're enhancing your belief system. You have a very natural ability to do this. You and everyone. Did you see how simple that was?
That's very cool.
And that's why we are calling it practice. Because it takes practice to return. And you can return in any now, at any moment, after any occurrence.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, there's some questions from the YouTube chat that I would like to go through if we can. Let me see. Arzu Singh, he asks a good question. He says, and I don't know if he was talking to the YouTube people or just to you in general, but I'm going to ask it. He says, can anyone tell me how to turn off this matrix? That was a good question.
It depends on what your idea of the matrix is. So there are many ideas of what this matrix is floating about, and this illusion that is out there. By setting your intention to turn off the matrix, it is a very difficult thing to do. By getting into the heart center, by breathing, by practicing your breathing, by practicing your mindfulness, by practicing your compassion, by practicing your joy. Once one has reinforced their belief system of alignment with joy, of alignment with compassion, of alignment with your excitement, then the ability to parse the veil and see the wisdom through this idea of the matrix, to see the truth, is a much easier task. It's a much more natural task. But by simply stating, I need to see through this matrix, you are going to be setting yourself on a path of futility. You'll be setting yourself on a path of conspiracy theories and witch hunts, and you will never be satisfied. Which is why the ascension to the 4D and the heart center comes before the ascension to the 5D and the elevated consciousness and the abilities that come with it. There are many people who have these abilities already. But do they listen to them with wisdom through their heart center? Are they in alignment with their head and their heart and their gut? This matrix is a very interesting thing, an idea. And once one connects in with this energy pattern that is out there, that is easy, there is this, close your eyes for a moment and see that there's this universal energy that you can connect into. You can see it as a matrix. You can just see it as energy. And you don't even need to see it. Feel it. Feel this universal energy that is out there and allow it to expand in you. That is step one. By allowing yourself to feel it, this universal energy, whatever you want to call it. This hologram of the matrix and the 12 holographic discs and how they reflect and how you perceive it are all simply by knowing that it's there and simply by trying to get past it, simply entraps you in the matrix.
Yeah. Thank you. There's another question from the YouTube chat I want to ask you. It is specifically about your race. It's from Paul. He says, what is the Pleiadian Council? And we were discussing before we started that there are many Pleiadian councils and many different areas of life and ascension and for the Pleiadian race. So what is the Pleiadian Council now doing to help us on the earth plane? And are there also in physical form, and are they here, being you, the Pleiadians, in physical form, in ships, or is this more of an energy form?
So we are both in the physical and in energy form. The 12 of us on the Council of Ascension were incarnated for this role. We are 12 unique individuals that have incarnated on the earth before and understand it. We were incarnated in Lemuria. We were incarnated in Atlantis. And we incarnated in the Pleiadian systems to be raised as Pleiadian, with Pleiadian thought forms. Because these ideas most naturally fit with the ideas in Lemuria and the ideas in Atlantis to help the collective consciousness ascend. We 12 were the 12 consciousnesses on the High Council in Lemuria. We were the 12 consciousnesses on the High Council in Atlantis. The guiding light, you may see it as. And when we incarnated, we knew we would be going towards Earth at this time for the ascension. Many people claimed that they wanted to help out with the ascension. The 12 of us got together. We listened to our intuition. And we simply went to the same planet in the Pleiadian system at the same time, met up with each other, and we knew what our role was. And we are now on a ship in orbit around the sun, several weeks ahead of the Earth in its orbit, sending energy back to the planet to help ease the transition, to help ease in the ascension, to help ease the ascension symptoms, to make it easier for you as an individual and as a collective consciousness to connect with yourself, to listen to yourself, to understand yourself, and to make it easier to understand the common vibrations, to converge on solutions, to converge on ascension, to converge on those ideas of success for humanity and the ascension to the 5D. Does that answer your question?
I believe so. Thank you very much. It's from the chat. And there's just one more before we go back into the room. Well, there's two more. One is from Archangel Raziel with her crystal skulls is her screen name. She says, can you tell me about the blue Pleiadians channeling through me? Are there many races and does their work vary? I was hearing their ship so close last night. How does this help us?
There are many individuals that channel through you, and some come as a collective. And yes, they are on a ship above your Earth in orbit. And these blue Pleiadians, there are many colors of Pleiadians. And these Pleiadians, when you connect in with them, and when you share their messages, these are profound messages and profound messages of joy and enlightenment. This type of information is allowing it. Once one starts channeling, they are allowing the ideas that the mind, the programmed mind from a little child, doesn't understand. But by channeling, you're allowing. And you're allowing all this different information, hard to conceive information at times. You're allowing this to come forth. These are steps of skills. And being a clear channel is setting the ego aside. Am I answering the question?
Yes, thank you very much. And then there's one more question, and it is from Swazi, who's new to Hucolo. She says, can you please tell us what one should do if we feel lost on our path and why we're here and feel a longing to return home? I think that's common for a lot of people.
Yes, yes. So about this longing to return home, or this feeling that you don't belong in the 3D or you don't belong in the body that you're in. The simple test for that is go to your bed, lie down, set your intention, your egoic intention, set it to leave. And then when you wake up in the morning, if you're still here, guess what? That idea was of the ego, and that idea was not of your core vibration. It was not in alignment with your highest self. You came here for a reason. You incarnated for a reason. And this reason, your higher self knows. This feeling that you don't belong here is simply that. It's an idea. It's an egoic idea. Ask your heart center. With the practices of breathing, with the practices of listening to the heart. One then knows what brings out their joy. This return to joy, this idea of a goal, that life is fruitful. Create goals that bring out your joy. If you don't understand what brings out your joy, start practicing meditation and the mindfulness. Once one starts to meditate and listen to the breath, when one listens to the breath and only the breath, all those ideas of what everyone else tells us, what we should be and what we should do, go away. And when we listen to only the breath, then our heart begins to speak. In that way, an individual can listen to their joy and the ideas that come up when the ego is not engaged. Those are ideas from your higher self. Those are ideas from your heart center. Write them down. Journal afterwards. Write down those ideas after you meditate. Write down whatever thought pattern it is. This is how automatic writing starts. And then just start writing and allow the pen to go. Whether you type it or whether you write it, allow that information to flow. And just write down those ideas that come forth, those ideas that bring out your joy, that bring out your excitement. Maybe put them as sticky notes and put them on your refrigerator or put them on the mirror. There are many ways to return to your joy, to return to your highest excitement, to return to your true self. By putting the reminders there is simply a way to reinforce them. By putting affirmations on your mirror. I am beautiful. I am joyful. I am excited. By doing those and reinforcing those in you is how one changes the belief system. It's how one reinforces the changes of the belief system. And by doing those affirmations and feeling better, that is your reinforcement. Your excitement. Noticing what excites you and noticing what brings your joy is the only reinforcement that you need. Do not focus on what anyone else thinks of what you are doing. Yes, many of you have families and commitments. That doesn't not mean you can have a joyful to-do list. That does not mean you can't have a list of joyful ideas. Maybe it is not time yet for those. That focus. This pandemic has made it difficult for many of you humans to focus on your joy, to focus on the ideas of what you wish to create. Through any practice of mindfulness, whether you hike, whether you have conversation with friends, whether you do yoga, whatever it is that brings out your joy, that allows you to be singly focused, that then allows you to return to your joy. And then it allows you to set goals and to work towards those goals. Are they joyful goals? And what are the steps that you need to complete? You do not have to fill those all out on day one of your manifestation or your return to your heart center. That is the same thing. Co-creation and being in the heart center and finding one's true purpose. They're all the same thing. It's all centered on alignment with your heart and centered on alignment with your joy. Did that answer the question?
Yes, thank you so much. Okay, we have a question from, excuse me, from Sean. Good, Sean.
Hello. So my question is about telepathy, and I noticed in my last ceremony I had at Mount Shasta with ayahuasca, and it was kind of teaching me about like the telepathy, and like I was connecting with it seemed like I was connecting with people's higher selves, and there wasn't any ego kind of in the way. And I was kind of asking myself, are they are they being conscious and aware of us having that conversation? And then it kind of told me that like when they have deja vu, that's kind of like a remembrance of us having that kind of telepathy experience. Is that kind of accurate, or do you see people having that experience a lot?
So the human understanding of telepathy and an ayahuasca expansion experience are much different. With your ayahuasca experience, that allowed the ego to step aside so that you can connect in energetically easier through bypassing much of the belief system, through chemical interaction with the ability in the brain. The telepathic information that you will get as a 5D being will be a feeling, a knowing. It'll be conscious. It will not need ayahuasca. It will not need much mindfulness, because this ascension, once going to the heart center and allowing information to come forth, whether it's light language or channeling or these images that you are seeing. And telepathy on Earth is defined as this two-way communication, and having someone else that has an elevated consciousness where they can communicate is ability that you allow to happen. And you don't judge the images that you see. By doing so more and more, one will be able to decipher what is this egoic fantasy, that idea that your mind put in there, or one that is simply the truth that you saw. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, and I felt like it was opening up parts of my brain to kind of allow that to happen and see like kind of where the belief systems are kind of stopping me from having that kind of experience like all the time. And I was just kind of, and then you were talking about the eclipse in December. Is that going to kind of help us allow that telepathy to kind of come forth a lot more stronger?
It's going to make it easier to allow any of your gifts to come forward. It is going to allow, the December is all about allowing. It is about what you receive. And if by being mindful between now and then and aligned with your joy and not focused on expectations, once that December eclipse happens, you won't notice a difference. Let's put it that way. Because you will already be adept at allowing. This eclipse will make it easier for you to allow. The eclipse will make it easier for you to align with allowing and wisdom and many of the divine feminine principles.
Okay.
So telepathy will be one of the enhancements. Yes.
All right. Yeah, a whole bunch of questions, but then they all kind of just escaped my mind about that. Let's see. So yeah, I just don't know why I keep having these experiences of the telepathy. And is it just kind of wiping away like all the belief systems, and it's just kind of showing me how the telepathy kind of works, and so that I can kind of recognize it more in my day-to-day. So I feel like it has been getting kind of stronger in my day-to-day, in a sense. But
So yes, to answer your question, you answered your own question, actually.
Yeah.
So
I tend to do that.
what matters is how you feel. At the beginning, you started to analyze it or overanalyze it. And then you stated about, oh, but I feel it's getting stronger. So run with that, align with that idea that it's getting stronger, because that idea is an idea of alignment. That is an idea of allowing. That's an idea of expansion. And your telepathy will get stronger by focused on that and aligning with joy. Does it excite you to enhance your telepathy skills?
Yes, it does actually, tremendously.
There you go. That is the only reinforcement you need.
Okay. When we're connecting to other people to like try and practice this, should we kind of focus on connecting with our higher selves, or with more of their like 3D kind of being, of them being more aware of them having the communication consciously?
So the simplest idea we gave earlier about playing cards and placing them on your nightstand and thinking about them and letting your friend know where it is, and maybe take a picture of it face down so that they can see, hey, here's the card, I know where it is. So when they egoically focus their attention on the card, the first step is the intention to focus. And the second step is getting out of the way of everything else and simply allowing it to happen. And this experiment done at night and then testing in the morning allows you to do it during your sleep, where you're at least resistance. Trying to do it while you're conscious. I'm sure every single one of you can see a card instantaneously. Run with your first image that you got. Trust it, because you are already connected to it. It is the mind and the ego that puts so many other images in there after you have seen the truth. Doing that at night and sleeping allows you to be at zero resistance for connecting into it, and allowing you during your sleep to connect in and reinforce the truth that you already know. So that when you wake up, the first image that you come up with, 3 of hearts. And run with it.
Okay.
You're overthinking it.
Yeah. And then there was another thing that I keep noticing is when I'm clearing a lot of the programming out of me, it seems to echo out into like my neighborhood. Like I kind of see like the healings that I am doing kind of taking place in my outer world. Is it kind of like affecting the grid where I'm at? Is that a thing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when one does any healing on themselves or anyone else, you can also add to the intention to engage in the law of one, and anybody, and connect in with anybody else who's having an extremely similar condition that also needs to be cleared. It can be cleared from the individual and the collective consciousness simultaneously. By you setting your intention to engage in that type of healing, which is simply a return to alignment. And by engaging in the law of one, you have connected in with this collective consciousness. And those vibrations simply cease to exist.
Okay.
And by focusing on the perfection of it, instead of the clearing of it, because after the clearing, humans are programmed to want to understand what was being cleared and what was cleared. By trying to understand it, you are keeping it around. But by simply asking yourself, if you're doing self-work, or asking your client, how do you feel? Let them do all the talking. And when you are checking yourself, how do I feel? Just like the simple breathing exercise with the hand on the heart, by jumping into the heart center, things are cleared easily.
Okay. And then when you're kind of
Sorry,
doing,
we have to move on. I'm sorry, we've been almost 30 minutes just with you. So we need to move on. I appreciate it, but we have some more questions. We only have 30 minutes left. So Sean, just hold your questions for the next time Will is here, if you can. If we can, we'll come back to you. The next question is from Susan. Thanks so much.
Hello. I think you've answered a lot of my questions already, but I've been experiencing over the last, I'd say, month and a half, what I believe is my light body activation and some physical changes and life changes. But recently, I, in a channeling event with a friend, she had a vision of me basically getting like a download or a reconnection with my star-seated angelic presence. And she said it was my direct emanation of my I am presence, or my higher self, or the entity said I can call her my higher self. But she gave me some, she had a scepter with that's shown some different colored like key codes. And I was told it was like a reboot or reconnection of my lower self with my higher self, basically. And also around that time, I was told the name and more information about my astral husband, who's a creator being, that I hold an aspect of him as well. So I feel like I'm being prepared to move into more of a leadership role, but using my creativity in an artistic manner. And through my own channeling practice, I've been connecting more with what would be considered mythical beings like unicorns, dragons, tree beings. Last night I channeled Gaia for the first time. So I feel like I'm kind of being pulled in the direction of maybe being kind of an ambassador to them. And I've been asked to paint like a dragon painting for a Mount Shasta event that my friend is having in September, as a raffle item. So I'm just wondering if I'm kind of on track with that I'm supposed to, be in my joy and my creativity, using my artistic abilities, which I haven't used in a while, and getting more into that, but also maybe representing these mythical beings that that are going to be making themselves known again on the earth, and if that's going to be part of my purpose that I'm moving towards.
I think you have answered your own questions. The confirmation will always come from your excitement level of it. And I hear all this excitement about the mythical creatures and the light body activations and embodying your I am presence. And if you feel it so much that this is what you are called to share, or that you feel joy about sharing, then this is a huge benefit to humanity, to the ascension. This is exactly what the ascension is about, is listening to your joy. And it does not, we are not having the conversation whether these mythical beings exist or not. We are having the conversation about, it brings me joy, and I have visions of these mystical beings, and I see them in my light body, and I see my ability to communicate with them in my light body and in my visions, and I'm creating these things, and I'm creating them out of joy. Someone else will see that, someone else will hear you, and they will return to their joy because of you, and because of your example, and because of your presence. By you being in your presence, and you being in your joy, and you sharing your gifts, no matter how magnificent they are. If you're making somebody smile, they are returning to their joy. And now they are going to do something exciting. And they have now the reminder. This is their ascension moment. This is their ability. And you sharing it, and if you derive excitement from sharing that, run with it. Expand yourself. Fill the world with your joy. That is a very, very exciting thing to do. This is exactly why we are here.
Wonderful.
So thank you for sharing.
Yes, and may I ask one more question? I know I've been a Pleiadian in another lifetime, and I have 6 Pleiadian guides that go by the name of Aurora, but I haven't connected too much with them except for during some automatic writing moments. But I'm just wondering if I will be working with them or connecting with them to a greater degree as I move forward.
Yes, and does it bring out your joy? When they start talking to you, does it bring out your joy? Are the messages that they're coming forth going to bring out your joy and going to excite other people? Meaning that there are many, many, many Pleiadians out there that are willing to channel through you and give you information and share their joy through you. And there are many angelic light beings. There are many creator beings that are also willing to do that. By you noticing those Pleiadians are there, by you listening to them before channeling them, does it excite you? Yes, it does, because guess what? They're there. They were attracted to you by your vibration, and you were attracted to them by their vibration. Whether you channel them in the future, whether you communicate further with them, is all based on your alignment. And it's all based on your excitement. This judging whether or not you channel Aurora or not is a judgment. If you're in your excitement, it does not matter whether you're channeling Aurora, channeling a light being, or channeling the awesomeness that's in your heart center. Does not matter. Understand?
Yes, yes, beautifully said. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, Kat has a question. Go ahead, Kat.
Yes, hello.
There you go.
Hello.
How are you?
Most excellent. How are you?
Most excellent, same. Most, but most it's a debate. In the Toltec masteries, it is said that we, the people, we are the dream of the creator. And us, humans, let's say, if humans stop to dream, we become we are more in our minds, and we become more mental. Do you have any insights regarding the art of dreaming?
Yes. So in this physicality, in this 3D physicality, as humans, when you first incarnated in your mother's womb, you were a tremendous light being. Through the conversations and the vibrations that you shared starting in this physicality and what others have told you was this 3D reality, you then were programmed and programmed and programmed. And then when you came out of the womb, you were programmed even more, and you were programmed with language. This idea of a dream is a human, in the human mind, this idea of a dream carries much less resistance than this belief system that's put down in the conscious mind of the human being. The human was trained to believe that this 3D reality is all that is. This is the physicality. But the dream, you were taught to dream. And when you actually dream, you are not listening to the external influences. There are some times that humans dream with these external influences. But this idea of a dream allows the human mind to accept more of that information as a reality. When one dreams, this information from the collective consciousness starts to influence the dream. Everything is energy. So you having the idea that you're living in your conscious mind in this 3D reality where everything is physical, nothing is actually touching. There are molecules that are bonding based on electrons and energy, and this information, this dream, allows that information to come forth and gives you the idea that you can do anything. And this dream of God, because we are all one. It is your dream as well as God's dream. Because you are the same. Because we are all one. And when you dream in this idea of separation, you are contributing to all of us, to the one of us. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I like your energy, and I was actually more wanting how to ride. I know that dreaming, it's the art of dreaming. It's riding the energies of God, and you can do that only through like dreaming. But next step, it's like dreaming, conscious dreaming. And while I do my my daily work stuff when it's necessary, when I feel I need it, I there's one part of me that it's doing the let's say mindfulness. It's called stalking of the self. But the other part of the dreaming, it's when I feel, one clue that I have is that when I start to think about wanting to dream, I feel still I'm afraid to engage in letting go even more, if I can say so.
That is the key right there.
Yeah, now I see it, yeah.
Because the dream is the resistance-free idea that anything is possible.
Mm-hmm.
And we were trained that, oh no, don't dream too hard, or good to dream, but in reality, that can't be done.
Yeah. I just see it now, and your observation is very to point. Yeah, very good.
If you can look at your fear and simply acknowledge it as fear, yes, that is fear, and simply return to the dream. Are you more joyful in your fear, or are you more joyful in your dream?
That's another good point. I learned from my work that I have to be less sensitive to fear and don't care about the fear and do my work. But I get to a point where I have enough power to do my work even more, let's say, effective. Yet as you say now, I still am impervious to feeling it. I don't care about feeling it. I just do my work. But I think it's an important part to, as you say, to feel it. Just like really feel small things, feel how it feels. Those many types of fears, Yeah, that's good, man.
You made an interesting point that when you do your work, you simply do your work. There's nothing wrong with simply doing your work, because you have a knowing about this work, that when you do it, it gets done, and there's an exchange of energy. And one doesn't necessarily have to feel it. When you're in the state of doing, you are singly focused, which is a good thing, because you're not overthinking it. You're simply doing it. When you go to the store and you purchase something, you exchange money and you get goods. It's a knowing, and it happens. And you don't necessarily second guess that interaction. And when you do your work, there are some athletes on your planet that they claimed that they were just in the zone. And when you watch them do their thing, they are simply amazing to watch. They're in a knowing state. Whether they're in a feeling state or not, they simply know that this is the action that needs to happen now, and they do it. That's it. Like your Michael Jordan. When he received the basketball, he wanted that basketball. He wanted it to be in the hoop. He was in touch with his intention. He was in touch with putting that ball in the hoop. He was in the zone. Simply by doing your work and allowing it to happen is a good thing. But if one's work is pruning the roses and one wants to feel the energy of the roses and ascertain the state of each of the plants to make sure that they have their optimal nutrition, that is also a good thing. You are sending a core vibration no matter what you are doing. So when you are doing your work, you are sending the vibration to get the work done. And if you overthink it or overfeel it, are you actually interfering with the work getting done? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I'm a heavy thinker, and my only solution is to oversmart myself. That was the only, be smarter than I was before. Because when you get into the thinking mode, I was never ending with doing something.
It depends what you're doing, whether it needs to be thought out or whether it needs to be applied.
Yeah, that applying thing was never done. Like figuring things out, this comes from this. And like you said before, humans like to think, and then it's overthinking and overthinking. Yeah.
Are there any more questions?
I appreciate your conversation, and thank you very much.
As do I. Thank you.
Thank you.
There is one last question from the Hucolo chat, and I'll read it and you can answer it. It's from Steve Whetstone. He says, what percent, and he has some assumptions. He's following some different channels. So he's talking about a catastrophe coming in 2048. So he says, what percent of the human population on Earth will likely ascend or survive or other for the Earth catastrophe cycle dangers to 3D life on or before the year 2048?
There are many paths to what could be called a catastrophe. There are many major catastrophes that are in the timelines coming forward. Some of them are caused by man, and some of them are caused by simply the planet. And some are a combination of both. But the volatility of a volcano is going to be the volatility of a volcano. Tsunamis and hurricanes that happen are going to happen. That is the nature of your planet. And some may be enhanced and some may be reduced. But those are that far in the future, and that focused on what that information is. No matter what I say today, are you going to pay attention to it and then compare it in 2048? Oh, Alona was exactly right back in 2021. What does it matter? What matters is, what can you do to be in your joy? What can you do if your joy is trying to avert the man-made disasters that are going to come in the future? What can you do? Is it on your joyful to-do list? And what are those ideas that you can come forth from being in your heart space as to how to solve those potential problems? And then can you make an outline? Can you add some flesh to that outline? What kind of plan can you then start talking about it? This is how you start garnering energy, gathering energy for an idea for co-creation. And then when you start talking about it, more people will start talking about it, and then you'll start gathering in groups. And then this idea will really get fleshed out. Maybe you're going to become a public speaker from these ideas. How do you stop the next pandemic? How do you stop the warfare? How do you stop this and that global warming? How do you stop the environmental changes? Whatever it is that's in your alignment, that's in your joy. If you feel that it is something that you must do, do it. If you're going to trudge forward and hate every minute of it, will it get done? Yes. What is the vibration you are adding to the collective while you're doing that? Simply by being in your heart center and by you living your joy is the greatest benefit to humanity. Not turning a blind eye to the things that are happening, to the genocides that are happening. By simply turning a blind eye, those things will continue to happen. But by you being in your heart center, if it's in your joy to speak up about it, then speak up about it. But by you focusing on your heart and your joy and allowing that vibration to fill your world and to fill your local collective consciousness, the rest in your local collective consciousness will return to that. And then there will be a vibration that no one can ignore, that everyone must ascend to. And yes, there are these ideas that when one ascends to the 5D, makes that jump, that these individuals left in the 3D will not have a fulfilling life, will not have an expansive existence. Those individuals have already chosen what they wish to do and whether they wish to ascend or not. And the individuals who incarnated to ascend to the 5D, to help the vibration, to help make it easier for others to make the jump, to ascend, it is so. Your heart will tell you what your role is. Your heart will tell you whether it's time to speak up. Your heart will tell you whether it's your turn to sign a petition, to join a political party, to run for office, to become a teacher, to become a healer, whatever it is that is your joy. That's the important part. Does that make sense?
I believe so. Thank you so very much. And we are really at the top of the hour. So I want to thank you so very much for being here. There was very beautiful comments about your calm voice and how everyone was able to just listen and enjoy. And I'm just so thankful for you to be here, and we'd like you to come back as soon as possible. So thank you so very much for your sharing your wisdom and your knowledge with us.
Absolutely my pleasure. Hello.
Hello. Perfect. Thank you so much. So
You're welcome.
why don't you, before we go, why don't you let people know how to get in touch with you? I put your contact information in the description, but maybe just give it a description of the upcoming retreat you're having and how people can reach you for private sessions if you give them, and any other things that you may be offering.
Yes. So for a private session, email will@reikiwithwill.com. And again, Mount Shasta for the Lion's Gate, 4 days, Saturday, August 7th through Tuesday, August 10th. There's a new moon, there's the Lion's Gate, there's Mount Shasta, violet flame ignition, I am presence activation, light language activations, DNA infusions, golden ray illumination, chakra clearings and activations, alignments. It's just a magnificent time, and many channelings, channeling Archangel Zadkiel, Ascended Master Saint Germain, Elohim, Gaia. Many Lyrans want to channel and talk about the Lion's Gate and the energies and assimilating the energies. If you want more information about that, retreats at aquarianfire.com.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. And for everyone, we'll have Jim next week. We'll be back with Jim, and yeah, let's end with some blessings. Who was it that wanted to do a blessing at the end? Angie does. Anyone else? And Angie has some announcements. Go ahead, Angie, do your announcements first.
Will, I just wanted to, if people want to get in touch with you, what is the address?
will@reikiwithwill.com.
Okay. All right. So in regards to our upcoming classes, we have Galactic Energy Healing Teacher Course, White Magic 2, Stones and Rocks, Understanding and how they work with us, and channeling. If you're interested in any of those classes, at hucolo.org.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much. Who was it that wanted to do some blessings? I think Angie, did you?
Sure, I'll close with the blessing.
Susan wanted to do one, I think. And anyone else? Okay, we'll do Will. We'll do Angie, Susan, Will. Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Wania tukuaka ai sasuno aichi. Hohono ai takiniawa ata ka ia. Ho'ono ai etinia tikishia ia tukua. No hai atakena oa tiki ia nia tuku u. Ia sania tuku oa. Ia no nuku ara. Namaste.
Tia sokotakoia ia sikatakaya toia ia roia sikitikia he sakatakoia I tikia he sokotakoia tia tukoia tikia yoi sikitakaya hoia yetikia sokotakoia tia sokoia tikia he sokoia tikia oi sikatakoia takaya takoia sikitikia sokotakoia ia sikotokia. Blessings.
Blessings. Go ahead, Will, whenever you're ready. I think he's muted.
I am muted.
Okay.
Hanahehe aharari. Nahahati arhakanahahai. Aihe haraharuka. Niha hahanahe hata. Kohora harata wahanani. Ahahaya nahare harakai. Nohuka arhanahata. Shahahasa akihai hati. Konoro horaya ta'a. Nahasa akahayecha arati tiara. Kanahar harkuhuati. Kuchina yayakahanana niartuku. Taharahana hayaka. Chochokohorahananahata.
Thank you so very much. All right, so everyone, we'll see you next week. Thank you very much. And we'll be back with Jim. And thank you to everyone in the YouTube chat, to everyone in the room. And please like and subscribe if you can. And we will see you next week. Thanks so much. I'm going to turn it off if I can figure out how to do it. All right.